here and there. I also thank very much our Vice Principal, uh, designated Vice Principal, Siddhinath Sharma, really who has done not only for this webinar, he has done a lot for promotion of the Department of Geography. Also, Hasna Begum is here. I really uh, feel that I am the president of this college, and this college will lead not only Walpara but whole of Assam in this respect. And I, especially on this webinar, I need not say about this impact of coronavirus, which sweeps across the world. It is causing widespread concern, fear, and stresses, all of which are natural to the changing situation. The issue here is to trace the web in the webinar how to manage and react to the stressful this pandemic situation, and especially the effects of environment. And in this webinar, we'd like to focus on nature and magnitude of environmental sustainability. Here, in this case, it is not only this COVID-19, but in Assam, there is the Balajan havoc. It is Balajan, Amazon is really is a concern, great concern for uh, world as well as for Assam also. Then is this webinar will also analyze these issues unfolding the needs and opportunities as Professor Sharma has said, opportunities, because in every adversity there are some opportunities, and what are the opportunities we would like to pick up, and perhaps we are taking some facing some lockdown time, and during this lockdown time we can do something which is undone, and ultimately we'll be able to highlight the input of the discussion. The problem is multidimensional and needs to be approached from different angles. Sustainability is made up of three pillars: economy, society, and environment. These uh, actually are said to be profit, people, and planet. So, sustainability is important for many reasons. One is environmental quality, and here, in order to have healthy and community, we need to clean air, natural resources, non-toxic environment. Growth requires more resources such as energy, water, and space. We would like to use that for development. Development must grow. We must be able to use these resources, but we must also preserve them. We must utilize them and conserve them. Then is there is the importance of sustainability, because these we must sustain. Development cannot be for the sake of development. Development for the sake of the people. So sustainability, what is sustainability? It is the capacity to endure, to maintain the process, situation over the time. So sustainability can be explored and managed in various references of time, space, and within context of environmental, social, and economic values. So, uh, in regards to the impact of sustainability and on environment, we need not growth, sustainable growth, which means stronger economy. while tackling the effects of climatic change, pollution, and other environmental factors. Sustainability includes health of land, air, and sea. Uh, Here, sea means water. We do not have sea in this northeast. We have water, land, air, and water. In short, sustainability looks to protect our natural environment, human environment, and ecological health. Environmental sustainability is one of the biggest issues faced by mankind in this planet. Increasing population, along with tremendous uh, other emerging issues, sustainability is important. Sustainability is important because of environmental protection. Sustainability, we will sustain if we are protected. So this entails the use of environment effects and how we can ensure the management of environment. I am not an expert on this line, but I, as a humble, sweet person, can see that we want a good environment, natural environment, good social environment, and here we need a good academic environment also. So development starts from these areas, this academic environment. Actually, this is the root of all development. Thank you all. I think our discussion will actually start from this route. I here declare this webinar a success and also open. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiration. We are here. Now, may I request our principal of Gwalpara College, Dr. Subhash Burman, to welcome guests and all other participants. Over to principal.
Thank you, Professor Sharma. Most esteemed our resource person, Professor Osinto and Besborua, President Governing Body Dr. Binoy Kumar Nath, HOD Professor Siddhinath Sharma, my colleague Hasna Begum Borguya, Anjam Hussain Borguya, and all esteemed participants. This is a great moment for us, for Gwalpara College. We have been organizing webinars, but today's webinar is a very important webinar because this is all about our environment, about our surrounding, and our sustainability. So you all know that since December in some parts of the world and here in this part since March 22nd, our country witnessed lockdown process. As a result, college, universities, and almost all sectors, health, economy, society, or education institutions, almost all have been devastated by this pandemic. And as we were not prepared in India, all college universities, we are not prepared for such a transformation. But anyway, we have been running in a blended way, means particularly through online way. We are continuing limited our academic activities. But though it is devastating and traumatic for all of us, it has also brought some opportunities. One opportunity is this today's webinar. Dr. Osinto and Besborua is coming from States for giving a lecture, and we have a good number of participants from university professors, colleges, and even research scholars, students. So all these people are coming together. So this is a great opportunity for Gwalpara College that one of great son of Assam is addressing our people, and he has been involved with the issues of environment and issues of sustainability from from inner. So I'm sure that this will be a meaningful webinar. And the point is, when we talk about environment, I'm not repeating whatever Professor Nath has been insisting. Whatever I feel, this webinar should, when we talk about environment, that what concern us, why the issues of environment has taken such an important dimension. Why so? What is the relation with pandemic and environment? There is a close relation. Once the balance is disturbed, then all these issues start coming up. So I'm sure those issues will be addressed by Dr. Osinto and Besborua. With these few words, I welcome a great scholar, a great son of Assam, Osinto and Besborua, and all our participants. I also express my gratitude to our learned President, Dr. Binay Kumar Nath. Once again, I welcome Dr. Osinto and Besborua for this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal. Now, may I request Professor Hasna Begum Barbhuya to introduce our resource person to the audience. Mic to unmute kora. Mic to unmute kora.
Namaskar and good morning everybody present in the webinar. Respected Dr. Binay Kumar Nath sir, President Governing Body, Galpura College. Respected Principal Sir, Dr. Shibhas Burman. Respected Resource Person, Dr. Achintanayan Bajbarua. Respected teachers and my dear students friends. It is my immense pleasure to welcome and introduce eminent professor from the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, North Dakota State University, Fargo, USA, Dr. Achintanayan Bajbarua. Dr. Bajbarua graduated from Assam Engineering College, Guwahati in the year 1987, with his master's in the Environmental Science and Engineering in 1993 from IIT Bombay. Returning to Guwahati and joined as assistant professor at Assam Engineering College in 1988 and served in the college up to 1999. During his stay at the Assam Engineering College, he conducted Brahmaputra Valley Science Promotion Tour in 1998, covered 13 towns and 17 villages under Grand Research STEM promotion. With a brilliant academic career, he got the chance to join the PhD program in the Department of Civil Engineering at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and he awarded PhD in the year 2002. And Dr. Bajbarua joined as an environmental engineer in 2003, URS Corporations and AE Home Company at the Greater Omaha area for 2 years, 7 months. Then he started his tenure as an assistant professor, Civil Engineering Department, North Dakota State University in 2009. In September 2015, he joined as associate professor and became the director of NAE Grand Challenge Scholars Program in the same university. Fulbright Scholar Award, Dr. Professor Bajbarua is currently a faculty advisor at North Dakota State University, Engineers Without Borders. Professor Bajbarua, wide areas of interest include environmental applications of nanomaterials, environmental implications of nanomaterials, polymer application is environmental remediation, nutrient recovery and delivery, small community water and wastewater treatment, containment, freight and transport, etc. Professor Bajbarua, in his career, has published not less than 100 research papers and mentored numerous projects and a PhD program. He has presided over many international conferences as an expert in environmental nanotechnology for sustainable development. So we would like to thank Professor Achintanayan Bajbarua for taking time out of his busy schedule and gracing us with this program, with his presence today. So without much delay, let's start the program. Thank you. Over to Dr. S.N. Sharma, HOD, Department of Geography.
Thank you, Professor Hasna Begum Barbhaiya, for introducing our resource person in a very short time. Now, may I request our honorable resource person, Professor Asintanan Bezburua, to deliver his lecture. Over to resource person Asintanan Bezburua.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Begum. Thank you everybody for inviting me there. It is almost midnight here, so it is 11:30, I suppose 11:30 right now at night. So we are kind of at 10 and a half hour behind you in Indian Standard Time. This is mirror. So let me share the slides with you. Give me a minute here. So here. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a minute here. So can you see my slide? Can you see it?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Good. Okay.
Yes.
So my name is Achintia Bezborwa. So I'm originally from near Kaziranga, Bokakhat. So I in fact forgot quite a number of things we did in India. So one of the things I always associate myself is the wetland near my Assam Engineering College, the Dipperbill wetland. That's actually a photograph of Dipperbill wetland in the background. So let me first talk a little bit about where we live right now. And my presentation will be today. I'll talk, I'm not an expert in COVID-19. So, we are confined to house because of COVID-19. So I talk a little bit about, opportunities that has shown up or what are the challenges that we have. But then I'll switch to one of the common topic of water. We're going to talk a little bit about water and how all of us can contribute to this issue. Sustainability in water part, because that is my area of expertise. So I think it will be more beneficial if I talk, I know all of you are possibly working in schools, colleges, or you are involved in research. I think it will be beneficial to look into one of the small problems, how a small, I'll not say small research, but I'll say low-tech research can lead to solving big problems. So as I said, I'm from, North Dakota. North Dakota is in the Canadian border. Is in the central part. You can see the circle here. So it's the Canadian border. And I work in North Dakota State University. So as you can see in the lower part, the temperature here changes from 40 degrees centigrade to minus 40 degrees centigrade to plus 40 degrees centigrade almost. So we almost have 100 degree, so not 100 degrees, sorry, 40 plus 40, 80 degree variation here. So it is really cold here, as you can see. So it is a good thing when it becomes 40 degrees centigrade Fahrenheit, we measure in Fahrenheit. So it's good for me. I don't have to convert the, unit. So I can directly say it is 40 degrees centigrade. Otherwise I have to convert to talk to people in India. So this is how it looks like in winter. This is actually a kind of, I took it from my car. So it's in the university as I was driving to the university, as you can see, a lot of snow will be there. So you cannot literally walk in this time. It's very, very cold. But then comes summer, we actually have a very high temperature. So this is backyard of my house. As you can see, there is a, there's a grapevine here, huge, and I have some kitchen garden. And this is an apple tree. Actually, you can see the apples out there. And this is my actually, Assamese Lao or Loki. And we have some gardens. Everything grows here. So we can see a variety of things here. So we really experience the whole breadth of environment here. And most interesting part about Fargo is we have floods here in Fargo. So floods, there's a Red River, which floods almost every year. So it is kind of, when it floods, I feel at home because I'm from Assam originally. So, let's first do this. So I talked to Dr. Barbhaiya. We are going to do a poll. If you kindly respond to that, it will give me a kind of a hand on to know you better. Where are you from? Dr. Barbhaiya, if you can start the poll, that will be nice.
Yeah. How much
Yes,
time?
sir.
Yeah, go ahead, just respond to this poll.
Yes, sir. I am from North Lakhimpur town. My father is from Hailakandi, that is in Kachar district. That is in Hailakandi district, and my mother is from North Lakhimpur. Yeah, and I got married in Galpara. Yes, sir.
How much time per poll, sir? We should
Oh,
give
just
20.
take 30 seconds. Everybody can respond to that question.
Okay, 30
Now,
seconds.
now working in Galpara College for the last, yeah, I joined in Galpara College in 1989, and working in Galpara College. Yeah, yeah. This is about me.
Okay, good. Let's project the results. Let's see. Okay, so there are a few of you from, at least 14, 15 of you from outside Assam. So I'm not going to speak in Assamese. That's just a curious to know. I mean, towards the last slide, I'll speak for half a minute in Assamese, but otherwise I'm not going to speak in Assamese because otherwise you will not be able to follow it. And my Hindi is very bad, so I'm not going to even venture it out. Okay, so let's go to this here. Next.
Next poll.
Yeah. So yeah. No, not next poll. No. I have slides forward. So when we talk about environment, we talk about atmosphere, we talk about hydrosphere, and we talk about lithosphere. If my voice goes down or something, kindly send me an WhatsApp call. Just call me on WhatsApp.
No, sir, you are clearly audible. No problem.
Okay, sure. And we anthroposphere, anthroposphere means the human part of it. And atmosphere, of course, we know. Hydrosphere is the water part, and lithosphere the soil and everything, and biosphere, of course, the our animals and other living organisms. So these constitute the whole environment, and they're interconnected. So what we are going to do today, we are not going to talk about all other. We are going to talk more about the anthroposphere. How does that work for us? Because that is the most important part here. So the Earth system really works very well with technosphere, how you develop technology, and social systems. And many times when we develop a technology, take for example, if we develop a new variety of rice, so then what we do is we normally ignore how people perceive it, how people think about it, so what kind of sometimes certain fish, you introduce some new variety of fish, so sometimes people don't like it, that particular species of bird. So you need to really ask. Many times that's what happens with bringing in something new without talking to the people. So there need to be a interaction between people, and people need to accept it when you introduce a new technology, and it has to be sustainable. It has to be compatible with the Earth system as well as the social system. So those are important things that we know already. I just want to repeat the system because I'm going to talk about a technology later on for water treatment. So now let's come to, because our main topic of discussion, initial topic of discussion, I will not say main topic of discussion, is about the coronavirus. I know we are always, so I look at it from a different perspective. I look at more of a half full situation. I know it's very depressing and everything, but I think, we should look past the depression part, look past the bad part, because that is what it is right now. So this is going to be here with us. So we have to make positive impact. It is very interesting to see the other day, I think in Facebook or some coming news item, somebody in India spent 2 hours looking into the camera, not doing anything, because that's amazing. That's the waste of time. If you want to see, this is the philosophy. I think the busiest person has the most time. If you're not busy, you always find an excuse to not to do things. So I think that's the philosophy I follow, and that's what it is. So if we find coronavirus to be an excuse for we not doing something, that's a mistake, because your today is not going to come back tomorrow. So your today is gone already, or yesterday is gone already. It's not going to come back to you. So life is precious. Life is precious, and coronavirus has taught us even more that life is so precious. Now let us look into some of the aspects. So how carbon emission being affected, how waste being affected. Wildlife habitat, there are contradictory opinion about how wildlife habitats are being affected, or how wildlife is being habited. They say some urban wildlife is growing, and some people actually say that urban wildlife actually was still there. We never had time to notice it. We never time to see it. So now we have been able to appreciate urban wildlife. Now in energy sector, many people think that, okay, we are going online, everything, a lot of energy being wasted. No, that is not the main energy consumption. I think energy consumption still are the other energy consuming industries and others still. So now let us look into two of them, at least the carbon emission and the waste generation. So if you look at the carbon emission part, and carbon emission actually has really gone down during this time. And this is not uncommon. This is not uncommon because we are not really, riding vehicles. My car, I normally fill up petrol every week. Now I hardly fill up every month, even not. I hardly drive the car. So then planes are not flying. A lot of things are not happening except the essentials. So we have really cut down on this carbon emission. Of course, industries are still running. As you can see, the countries, if you look at China, and I have statistics from India as well, I'll show you later on. So China is the major carbon producer, and United States, of course, the other carbon producer. So you can see there's a decrease in carbon production, so which is very good. Now I'll come back to that one, whether it is good or it is something different. So if you look at the waste generation, that's a concern. Waste generation has gone up. Waste generation gone up in all aspects, and more disturbing part is that toxic waste has gone up. Toxic or biohazards has gone up because hospital waste and everything is gone up. And then if there's a proper system for disposal of that, that's good. But if there's not a proper system for disposal of those, that becomes a problem. So definitely, in many cities in India and many cities in other countries, the problem, So United States, that is not a problem because there have been so much strict regulations. We have other faults. A lot of people are dying in this country. This is a totally a reckless situation here as compared. So you should feel, in fact, India is much better that way as compared to United States. So, but that's not the point. Point is, I think people are suffering, but at the same time, waste generation is higher. So actually COVID-19 is a opportunity for us. Is an opportunity for us to learn how to build up our infrastructure. If you go to any place in Assam, any place in rural India, you do not see proper drinking water system. I know the Jal Ministry has come up and they're trying to do it. So, but it will take time unless otherwise, we do it right. One very interesting thing, I was traveling last month in March. I was in India. I was traveling in Bhubaneswar by train. So one of the persons sat down beside me. We started talking. He said, "Oh, he came to know that I do research." I said, "I want you to design an experiment. It is a, don't laugh at me, but this is an interesting experiment." I said, "Okay, go ahead. I want you to design an experiment where people in India will do the right thing for 1 month. Right thing for 1 month. No corruption. Everybody will do their duty." I said, I said that's a very interesting experimental design. He said his logic is very good. He said, we have not tested honesty. We have not tested honesty. If we test it for a month, maybe we'll stick to it. I think that's a very good proposition. I think what I'm trying to say through here, it is not that we are totally dishonest. People, if you look at United States right now, our president is dishonest. So I don't have the moral right to really say, right to say, other people are dishonest. So we are totally dishonest in this country at this time. But anyway, so now I think important part is, I think if we do the right thing, if we plan it out, take for example, even for Goalpara, I know Goalpara has done a very good job during one of the deputy commissioners was there, very cleanliness effort was going on, so I think that's very interesting. So now I suppose if we can really think ahead of time, in terms of drinking water, in terms of waste disposal, we all have septic tanks, but septic tanks are not the solutions. Septic tanks really pollute your environment in terms of nitrate and other pollutants. But there's a different issue altogether. I'm not going to deep into this one. What I want you to do is think over it. There's no dearth of resources because internet is there. You can, there is no excuse nowadays of we not knowing some information. The information is in your fingertip now. Now, if you look at this is again another where Indian statistics is here. As you can see, the carbon reduction is not a new thing during such an event. If you look at, any financial crisis, or even, World War II, or any recession that has happened, your carbon emission has really gone negative, as you can see, so that much changes is taking place. But this time it is the largest we are seeing, because whole world kind of have become paralyzed at this time. But remember, there's no need for celebration of this carbon emission, because there has been no policy change. Because once it is over, we'll be back to the same normal situation. In fact, if you look at countries like Australia, US, we're actually relaxing laws to, violating environment. That's what we are doing. Our government is doing that. Australia is doing the same thing. US is doing the same thing. So we are violating, we are encouraging people to set up things and reducing regulations such that industries can come up. So it may even get worse. So there are a lot of denials about climate change. So that we need to still keep working that term. So there's no point of we getting any satisfaction out of this reduction. It's good to see that, in Bombay, you can see the India get from far away now, So, we can see more birds coming into the lakes and everything. And those are good things. In the cities area, also good thing. But those are temporary, though, unless we make permanent changes. So that need to be kept in mind. Now, if you look at China, it is a Chinese map of China taken So if you look at this pre-COVID on your left side and post-COVID on your right side, you can see that nitrogen dioxide emission in China has really gone down. This is a good thing because it's a greenhouse gas. But this is going to, so if we can keep it this way, we are really good. That means it is achievable. It's not, so people have been saying, no, it is not achievable, It is achievable. We can achieve this one way or the other. Now, this is from United States. This, you are projecting a circle part, like New York and others. If it's the same situation, so really nitrogen dioxide emission has really gone down. So, but this is going to come back because this is the most traffic congested area in the whole country. Now, if you look at now all other countries, if you look at the world, these are the particulate matter reduction. So basically particulate matters, which is size of 2.5 micron. So the particulate matter in the atmosphere has really gone down. As you can see, Delhi see 60% reduction, and Delhi has really become clean, as you can see. So then you can see everywhere, really going down. In United States, Los Angeles and New York are the most polluted. So you can see that it has really gone down. So I think a remarkable reduction, as you can see in Delhi, remarkable reduction. We know about Delhi, what happens in Delhi. So it is always polluted, very, very polluted. So I think these are positive things. And I think this is achievable. This is achievable. This gives us a lesson. This is achievable with right technology. We cannot say people that don't drive your car. We cannot say that, because everybody wants to drive a car. Because once we become middle class, we want a car. We want 2 cars. We want 3 cars. I mean, it will be difficult to control that unless other people have conscious. But with technology, it's possible. Given an example, when Barack Obama became the president, so what happened here in this country is that we have cars which are not energy efficient. Then his administration put a mandate that cars have to be really, really efficient. There's a lot of hue and cry about, no, you're killing the industry and everything. But now look at today. Cars are very efficient. It gives you, 50 miles. 50 miles will be 50 miles per gallon. Gallon means about 4 liters. So it's a very high mileage. Now, when Trump came back, Trump said, oh, no, we are going to do away with this rule. But nobody cared. Nobody listened to him, because that is something, it really hits the people's bottom line, people's economy. People like energy efficient cars. So that's why that has not gone back to, even though he said, oh, we'll go back to our old inefficient cars. That never happened. So that's a good part about it. I think we can sustain with a proper technology. And India, being the most technologically advanced, I would say, because we have the most talented people in the world. That's what we are actually. India is running the world. If you look at everything, so many people in the high positions, and we have the most talent. And there's no reason we cannot do this. We can do this. I know in PPE, personal protection equipment, we have become world #1 now, or second. So this is good. I think we can do it. We can achieve it. They're doable. I know there are a lot of distraction. We have a lot of distraction, a lot of for political reasons and others. I think still we need to keep our focus on. And I can see in Assam itself, you can see that by effort of one minister, a lot of things can be done. People can say things have not been done or things can be done. It's a different controversy altogether. But thing is, one person's leadership can really make a difference in the state, in the country. So I think that's what we need to have. We need to be, proactive. We need to get at this, from. I'll talk about it in a minute, so about other stuff that we can do. So let's talk about, now switching gear a little bit. Let's talk about sustainability. And I'm not really relating sustainability to COVID here. I'm talking sustainability in general. So these are the sustainable development goals set, put forward by United Nations, and these are very reasonable, goals. And no poverty, no hunger. So hunger is an interesting issue. Hunger has gone down. However, nutrition, food hunger has gone down, but nutritional hunger has not really gone down. So people get food, but not enough nutritious food. I think that's food security has come to some extent, but not nutrient security. And that's why, I never told you what research we do. Even though we do a lot of research in water, we have been doing a lot of work in sustainable agriculture in recent time. We have been trying to develop new insecticide, new pesticides, based on bio-based material, plant polyphenols. I'll talk a little bit about that, what you can do out there. So now, sustainability, of course, is a combination of everything: the environment, social, economic, as I told you. So rather than talking in abstract term, if I convert that to layman's language, that's what we see. We see people, we see the planet, we see profit. So now, who doesn't want profit? Everybody wants profit. If you give me money, I'll take it today. But question is my taking the money going to affect somebody else? Is it equitable? Is it, can the person who is paying me the money, can that person really pay? I think those are the aspects that come into play. It should be viable, it should be equitable, it should be, bearable. I'm not talking about, socialistic approach. I'm talking about even with the environment. We need to be considerate about everybody. I think at the same time, If you don't talk to people about profit, what profit they're going to get, nobody going to do it. If you want to recycle something, if you do not give money, those people who come to your house to pick up recyclable, bottles and everything, if they do not pay you a little bit of money per kg, you are not going to collect them. And if they cannot sell it, they are not going to collect it. So it is a question of profit. At the same time, the question of balance. How well can you balance it? Money drives everything, but at the same time, we should really strike a balance. How we I think economy is very important. Economy is part of our environment, part of our sustainability issues. If everybody's economy is good, people can afford to think about something else. But if people have to think only about their 2 meals or 4 meals a day, I think that is something they can even think about something else. They can think about sustainability at that point, because I think that should be kept in mind. I think many times you don't have to work really, you don't have to plant a tree to sustain environment. If you can work on poverty alleviation, as you can see those 17 sustainability goals, if you can work on one, you are doing your part. Everybody not an expert in saving animals, saving planets, reducing pollution. You don't have to be an expert in all of this. You do not have to be expert in, you have to be good in one. Just do it with your heart. I think that's the most important part. Now, how do you define sustainability? So this is the United Nations definition of sustainability: meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. I think that's what it is all about. In India, we always think about our children. Sometimes you even don't eat to make sure our children eat well. We do not do certain things, but we make sure our children get the benefit. That is what we do. We always have the spirit of sacrifice. I think we need to think our family a little bit bigger. It is not something we have to develop. We already have that spirit. Only thing, you need to implement it. You need to think about a little bit more. You need to think about the next person coming up. I think that's what it is important. I think together, I think this is kind of a very philosophical first part. Let me switch gear now. Let's go to talk about something else I'm passionate about. So let's have the poll number 2 now, Dr. Barbhooya.
Anjam.
It'll take a little bit of time for you to read it, then just answer it. I'm just asking, have you ever worked on a water project? Even at home. I mean, even if you set up a filter, I think that's a water project. So whenever you think, Dr. Barbhooya, whenever you want to stop now.
Yes, sir. I think it will be better if we make it up to 100, 84, 85.
Sure.
87, 90. Okay, then it's end the polling. I'm losing. And now this is the results.
Okay. Sure. So that's interesting because so actually, even though you said you never participated in one, you actually did. You must have set up a small filter in your house. You must have at least got a storage container, better storage container for water. That's a water project. I think you don't have to work on a big project to make a difference for people. So instead of a regular plastic container to store water, if you got a earthen pot, or if you got a stainless steel one, I think that's a difference. That's where you think, because if you store water in a plastic container, regular plastic container from the ordinary plastic container, a lot of color and plasticizers get into your water without you knowing it. So that's a very dangerous thing, because those are carcinogenic, cancer causing. But now if you go back to your metal type of container, take the copper container, silver container, or stainless steel containers, those are better, definitely. Or glass containers or earthen pots are better. So if you have done such a work, you have actually done that. Don't worry about now correcting it. But I think it is important for us to claim things you do. I think that's very important. Many times we do things, we never claim that we have done it. It's very important to claim, recognize yourself. You don't have to go in public and say that I have done this, but recognize yourself that I have done this work, I can do it. So I think that's very important. I know some of you might not have got a chance because you must be too young, or something, you're not really getting too much involved, but opportunity will come. And I'm going to talk about some of the opportunities in water part, how we can do that. So let's stop sharing this one. So let's go to the next slide. So these are sustainability goals. We are going to talk about only clean water here. So this is a sustainability goal number 6. So one of the things we all know, being in India, we have droughts and we have floods. So we have earthquake, we have cyclone, we have a lot of issues. So these are emergency situations where major issues are typically shelter, food, and drinking water. And drinking water happens to be the most critical, because drinking water really have a lot of after effects, because if you do not have the right, pure drinking water, that becomes a problem because you have disease and everything after that. Now, there are systems where people have developed, this is look like a bar of soap, but this is a purifier. This is called muddy drop, where they have put, this is a kind of a porcelain thing. They put silver nanomaterial. Nano means 10 to the power minus 9. Micro is 10 to the power minus 6. So they put silver inside this material, and the silver oozes out and disinfect the water for up to 3 months to 6 months, depending upon the consumption. And this whole system cost you about 80 rupees. 80. So this is a pretty good system. 80 rupees, but this is produced in United States. That's why it is 80 rupees, $1 at this time. But if you produce somewhere else, less expensive. I'll show you, this looks like a little sophisticated system, but I'll show you a easier system. So you can actually produce this clay material in clay material. It's very easy to be produced. So you can actually create your own filter. You don't have to buy your filter. Then you can infuse those materials inside that. So this is very easy. If you mix, as you make your pots, if you mix sawdust into there, and that becomes pour, and that becomes a very good filter. There's a very standard practice of making filters. And there is an organization called Potters Without Borders, like Engineers Without Borders, Doctors Without Borders. There's an organization called Potters Without Borders, basically pots and potters, Potters Without Borders. So they actually do such work. So this is a very interesting work. And this, on your left side, those tablets you can see, those are clay tablets where silver is infused, and that silver can disinfect water. But this should come with a warning that you cannot simply do it, to put silver in there. Some people are tempted to put silver nitrate in there. No, that is not the right way to do it. There are methods to do it, and there are a lot of papers published on this area. So these are very easy things to be done, not difficult. You can actually produce from bio-based material. As long as you have a silver-based chemical, you can use plant polyphenols. Polyphenols are like, if you drink tea, tea has not the regular black tea, green tea has polyphenols. Polyphenols are antioxidant. That means it kind of it keeps you young. It keeps you young. If you, so that's why I say, Chinese, China, you get a lot of green tea. In fact, Assam, we produce a lot of green tea nowadays. We export them a lot. So green tea have the most polyphenols. And any other colored plants, anything with a colored leaf, they have polyphenols. But because polyphenols are plants' natural defense mechanism, defense chemicals for defense. So sometimes you will see a big tree and there will be no grass and everything below it. It is all kind of looks barren. What it does, plants, one of the defense, not all, one of the defense mechanism of plants is that plants, when they shed leaves, the polyphenols get into the soil and that prevents other plants from coming up. The competition is reduced. These polyphenols are pretty good reducing agents and you can use it for making new material. So this is another example, which is, if you can buy it actually, this is called Lifesaver, you know. So this is an example of a straw where you can, it's a straw, but it is fitted with activated carbon and other chemicals, such that if you drink the water directly, so it is a very good system for during flood and everything. I visited IIT Guwahati last year, this year in March, just before we started shutting down. So we have been talking about developing some straw like this using membranes. You know, in your house you may have some, you know, reverse osmosis unit. You know, those what do you call it? Indian system. There are Indian systems that you can get water purifiers. So there are reverse osmosis membranes being used. So we are trying to see whether we can develop a straw like this with reverse osmosis membrane. So this will be very good. You can directly drink during flood and everything. It will be so handy. And there is no reason of we not being able to do it. Anybody can do this, because the only thing you can actually, easiest one you can produce is putting activated carbon. And one of the challenges with activated carbon is that you need to, activated carbon is difficult to be produced without having a vacuum system, you know. So, but that is the challenge. If you can develop a system of producing activated carbon without the use of sophisticated technology, that will be like a big thing. Right now we use circle. Actually, there are some work in Thailand where they have mobile units going to one village from other, and they help produce activated carbon such that they can use it for water treatment. So I'll show you some more slides how activated carbon can be important. This is another example of the Lifesaver, you know. So this is the one you use at home. So typically, so this is exactly, some membranes are actually put together. So we are thinking of making a membrane like this on the right hand side most. In, you know, we are planning to put small membranes, and we are thinking of making one with IIT Guwahati. So let's see what happens. So now this is another example of related to COVID-19. You know, in an example, because most of the time you are using all these hand sanitizers. You know, hand sanitizers are not necessarily very healthy because it contains alcohol, and sometimes people produce bad alcohol also into there. So which actually affects you. It is more toxic than it is good. So now, so what we are using here in this case, we are atomizing water. We're just taking water, we are making the water very small, and putting charge on that one. So what you need to do now, so you go, rather than using soap and everything, you just use your hand below the tape in a faucet and just do your hand like this. Little bit of, you know, vapor will come and your hand is clean, and all bacteria will die very easily. So this is a system developed in Harvard. You know, this is, you know, this Phil, you know, Democrato. So we are friends actually. He has demonstrated this model to us. It's a very nice system. So they work very well, and you know, they're predicting that within 5 years, you know, toilets and everything in, you know, different places will have this system rather than soap and all. That will be very interesting to see. And you can disinfect your food, disinfect your fruits. You don't have to, you know, wash it. I know a lot of you are doing that, which, you know, I know, in fact, one of my friends in Guwahati is using regular surf to clean their, you know, fruits, which is not a good idea. But, you know, that's the technology he had at this time. But this type of technology can really help. They can revolutionize the process of disinfecting stuff. And these are not difficult, as you can see. We're just charging it. We are making small fine particles, putting charge into there. We can start doing some experiment based on this one. This doesn't need a lot of things, you know. So I think that's it. With this, with both getting a Nobel Prize from India without any sophisticated technology, we can definitely do things out there. There's no excuse about not doing stuff. Now let's have this is about water. Let's talk about, I'm going to talk about something very close to Assam, and many of you in Bihar and others have the problem. We'll talk about it. Let's have poll number 3.
Yeah, should is
Yeah, go ahead, answer this question. Yes or no? Simple question. If you know a village which is affected by fluoride. I'll try to wind up quickly after this, because my slides that I have right now after this are very technical in nature, but I'll skip a lot of them just to let you know how we have arrived at certain things.
Yeah.
Dr. Borja, yeah. So yeah, sure. Let's see.
Sure.
Okay, that's good. So some of you have not seen it, and some of you are known about it. So that's very. Assam actually is very badly affected. Assam is very badly affected by fluoride. The worst affected is Andhra Pradesh, and Rajasthan is very badly affected. So I'm actually planning. I was supposed to go in July, but I'm now going in January to Rajasthan. I'll be spending 6 months there working on some of the fluoride removal units. So that will be under my Fulbright fellowship. So I'll be working with research with NIT Jaipur. There's a Dr. A.B. Gupta, Akhilendra Gupta. He has done remarkable work. I'll show you some of his work actually. Very interesting work has been done, and that has been reproduced in Assam also. So we can possibly close this one. And we have the 4th poll also. Can you go to the 4th poll?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, there's a last poll actually. There's the last poll we have. This will give me a perspective of how much you know about the fluoride problem.
Done, sir.
Yeah, this is the last one, yes. Also, it keeps everybody awake, right? If you have a poll, everybody's awake. So morning, you will not feel sleepy, so it's just good.
Yeah, the answer is almost.
Okay, sure. Okay, that's interesting. That's understandable. That's understandable. That's understandable. Now, this is very interesting. So we can answer this one. So we at least know. It's very interesting because one of the very interesting observation I have seen. In the United States, we don't have retirement days. In universities, I can work as long as I want. I can work if I live to 100 years. Of course, I don't want to live that long. I can work till 100 years if I want. So, but in most other countries, there's a retirement days. I went to school in Golaghat. So so I have friends who talk about retirement. They say, oh, they have nothing to do. They spend the time morning praying and evening praying, and they're counting days. I mean, that's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. I mean, they have not retired, but they're retiring, not even retired. They're counting days. Retirement is not for your counting days to death. You're still very young. 60, 65 years is very young age, because people don't die that quickly. So we have a lot of useful life. So I think this is important that we recognize that we can do things even after retirement. You are actually more forceful. You actually have more experience. You can do much more things than, because you have all the free time. Not exactly free time, but you have I'm talking under inverted comma. You have all the free time in the world to do things for the good for the people. But anyway, so that's the point I want to make, because you can do, if you devote a little bit of time, you can do miracles. A lot of things can be done. A lot of changes can be done. You can bring sustainability. Let's talk about sustainability only with the use of water. That's what we're talking about. So let's talk about now, let's talk about fluoride in drinking water. Fluoride in drinking water. So fluoride in drinking water is a major effect. So fluoride actually causes dental fluorosis, also skeletal fluorosis. You can actually have deformed bones because of this. It's a slow poisoning. And it is so interesting that I think Assam, 11 districts are affected, and Bihar is affected, Jharkhand is affected, Orissa is affected, Andhra Pradesh is affected, then your Uttarakhand is affected, and also Rajasthan is affected very badly by arsenic. So this is a major problem, and I'll show you the statistics here. If you look at this, 1/3 of Indian villages are affected by arsenic. So that's, as you can see, almost all the colored places are affected to a certain extent. Each state has few districts. So it is a national problem. And if we do not do anything, we are basically putting into, we are slow poisoning people. We are slow poisoning people to death. That is not acceptable. That's totally unacceptable. So now, so this is what happens if you this is a picture from Orissa. This is what happens with teeth and everything. And not only human being suffers, animal also suffers because of this. So you are not only looking at loss of human resources, human, capital, you're also looking at losing animal capital. So that's going to really affect our economy in the long run. Now, these are examples from Assam. Example for Assam, as you can see, the whole family is affected in this, left-hand side picture, and a lady out there on the right side, she is not only suffering from skeletal on the right side, skeletal fluorosis, also dental fluorosis. So these are interesting. I should not say it was interesting because this is pathetic. This shouldn't have happened in the first place because we are just ignoring it. And most interesting part about the whole thing is mostly poor people suffer because this whole fluorosis problem has a relationship with nutrition, to a lot of extent. So that's why we don't care. We are totally careless about it because it is not happening in my house. I don't care. I think that attitude needs to go away. And it is not happening in India alone. It's happening in other countries. China has a big problem with fluoride. This is not industrial. Remember, fluoride is not an industrial pollutant. It's a natural thing. It's there in the earth crust. And now it is going to come out over time. Arsenic is the same problem. Assam has a lot of arsenic. I'm not going to talk about arsenic. We do a lot of work in arsenic. But arsenic is another problem. We are actually trying to set up a unit in Guwahati. Oh, not Guwahati, sorry, near Golaghat. So we are working with a faculty member from DR College to set up some units out there. So, but thing is, fluoride is a major problem, and this is something you can intervene. And those who are in chemistry, attending today, you would realize that fluoride and arsenic are non-destructible. You cannot destroy them. So they can be transformed from water. You can bring them to solid phase. You cannot really destroy them. That's a big issue. That's a big issue. So that's why there's so much problem with this. Some amount of fluoride actually is needed for your health. Little bit of fluoride is needed, but if it exceeds 1.5 milligram per liter, then it becomes a problem. So typically, it is not a very sophisticated system. It is very simple system. It's not too expensive, to remove fluoride, because we have only thing we need to know there, because there are money in India. We have this Jal Mantralaya, which is going to give out money, and as the Prime Minister has made drinking water a priority. I think we need to identify, being educated people, these are the things. We need to find out what the schemes are there. And we need to force our legislators and authorities to set up units. That's what we should do. But at the same time, I think what we need to do is sustainability of the system should be ensured through people's participation. It's very interesting. So near Nalbari, there's an arsenic removal unit. You should visit it. You should visit it possibly. So now, where the people do, they have what is known as a water ATM. So they pay 210 rupees per month to collect 20 liters of water every day, arsenic-free water. There are 5 families who cannot afford it. So villagers have made it free. But that whole collection of money, every month they collect 210 rupees, and that keeps the system running. Government is not going to keep your system sustaining. Government is not efficient. And many people think MLA is going to give it. MLAs are for 5 years. They're going to go away after that. If you don't vote for them, they're not going to do your stuff. So that's not going to work. We need to take control of ourselves, is our health. But if you suffer because of arsenic or fluoride, if you suffer for illness, you'll be spending more money than paying that 210 rupees per month in a time. So I think that management plan need to be come up. We cannot supply free stuff. That need to be kept in mind. We have to have an economic plan for sustainability. So that is something we can all help. And that's why coming together with a lot of people coming together is very, very important. Now, what we have done here, I'm not going to technical details of this, but those who are interested, I'll be more than happy to interact with you later on, anytime. You can send me an email later on. We can set up meetings and we can talk about it if you're interested in the research part of it. So we are using activated carbon here. Typically, the activated carbon is functionalized. You put acid function, but you cannot use this acid function in villages. So what we did, we recently published a paper. So what we did, we started looking into what kind of, less toxic acid we can use. So what we did is, we looked into, I just go through quickly. So we thought this system has to be easy to make. It has to be environmentally friendly, and products has to be locally available. Activated carbon, of course, is not, but that is what we are struggling at this time. But other products are all locally available. So what we did is we took the activated carbon and we use a, citric acid. Citric acid is nothing but what you have in lime, lemon. What you have in lemon is a citric acid. Lemon contains about, 0.3 molar citric acid. So citric acid is also very common because you can buy it anywhere because they are using for food processing. Like if you want to make jam or jelly, you use citric acid out there. So these are less expensive acid and very, very non-toxic, very benign, very, very mild acid. So what we have done, I'm not going to get into chemistry, but I'm showing you why I'm showing you this, such that you can realize that it doesn't involve a lot of chemistry. At the same time, it definitely involves chemistry. So if 2-3 groups of people can get together, the days of doing research alone is gone. Doing research together is the time you have to do together. You have to put together a multidisciplinary group. So I'm not going into chemistry part of it. So we are using lime as well as citric acid. So this is a simple process of production of the system. You can immediately produce it. So this is a system we are showing it. These systems are mostly just not too expensive to buy. You can buy it for very less cost, except that you need a UV visible spectrophotometer at the end to test it. So these are what we got. Removal, as you can see, very efficient. If you only use activated carbon, you get less removal, but if you modify them, you get very good removal, 80% removal. So typical fluoride concentration will be maybe 10 milligram per liter. And as you can see, we have removed very efficiently up to 80, 70%, 75%, 78% very easily. So this technology can be very well used. Okay. Now, we also looked into mechanism. I'm not going to go through these details, but these are important to understand how it happens, the science part of it. Many times when I did my engineering, I always thought that science is not needed. I only need engineering, but engineering is based on science. I thought geology is never needed. Then I realized when I started working for the company, I thought it's all geology. Without geology, I will not get paid. So that's very interesting because we failed to appreciate certain things earlier. Now later on we realize this, but our work is more or less all science basically. I do very less engineering at this time, but we develop system at the same time, towards the end. My 75% work is science and 25% engineering at this time. And then as you can see, you can remove very, very well. So we could remove, as you can see, we could remove, this is very interesting, that the middle part. So we can actually remove with lime and citric acid, we can remove very good amount of, fluoride. So we looked into this, the mechanism part of it, why it is removed and what pH it removes. And we got very good result, and there is no interference from other things. So basically, if we use in water, it works very, very well. Some of the things may show as interference, but you normally, those are not relevant concentration. We use a very high concentration to test it, but I think these are not relevant. But as you can see, overall, there is no interference in this process. So these are the things you can do it in your school. If you do it in your college, these are very simple processes. You can do it. UV visible spectrophotometer. I think you can get grants, because also the central government has a lot of funding. So you can actually apply for a small gun. You can start those work definitely. So these are different interference studies. We published this paper. Anybody interested, I can send you the paper later on. So we looked into the effect of this. So we also looked into desorption, whether after absorbing the fluoride in the filter, will it start dissolving after some time? We will let it go, because that will be very dangerous. This is known as a, desorption phenomena. So which will basically kill people if it goes out, so that's not good. That's not good. So we do not want that to happen. So we tested our material up to, actually, this is up to 3 months. We actually tested up to 6 months, is not giving out. So, even if you forget to change the filter immediately, at least it's not going to give out the fluoride, which is good. These are simple material we use. We use activated carbon, we use lime, and use simple technology. We use other technologies. We use cerium and others. I'm not talking about those. Those are a little bit complicated to do, but these are simple technology to be used. Now, can engineers alone do it? Can engineers alone, like I'm an engineer, I call myself engineer. Can we do it? Can you alone do it? No. This is something need to be done together. So if you want to work with fluoride, malnutrition is a major problem. So if people are malnourished, so if you look at right now, this is very interesting. Many of you may know that India has this, health mission. So part of the health mission, one part that they actually work with fluoride affected people. So they give you some vitamins, some other medicines, nutrients basically. Then they tell you, from today, take this medicine and drink good water. And they do not solve the good water problem. It is the PHE's problem. And PHE has not done this work for a long time. And now I see in Assam more particularly, a lot of people who worked in PHEs are trying to promote the idea that reverse osmosis is bad. Well, reverse osmosis may not be the best solution, but it is the right solution to be immediately adopted. Don't tell me, PHE, in PHEs, if you are, I have all the respect for a lot of people in PHEs, but at the same time, if you have not done the work for the last 30 years, even if you know it, you have no right to tell us what technology to use. I think reverse osmosis is okay to be used at this time. You can use reverse osmosis, at least to alleviate the problem right away. Then you can think about other technologies. So there are a lot of technology actually can be used, but not this Nalganda method. Nalganda method is not a good one. It is actually banned in Rajasthan right now because of that aluminum that we have out there that causes neurological problems out there. So now this is being practiced actually in India. So they use, this is, as I said, Akhilendra Gupta from NIT Jaipur. They did this. He's an engineer, but he got together a group of, doctors and others, social workers, and they started, giving people this vitamin C, calcium, vitamin D, zinc, and that really helped them. That really did them. That's a very good model to be adopted. And in fact, in Assam also, the new methods will come up. In Assam also, they have been doing it. And also this vitamin C really worked. A lot of traditional type of plants and everything, they really work very, very well for this. Now, this is an example from Assam. So how, as you can see, this is Zakir from Hujai. So as you can see, Zakir has gone through this medical treatment over time. Children, it's very easy to be treated. As you can see from the left side to the right side. So Zakir's actually leg, as you can see, that has straightened. He has become almost normal, as you can see it. So this is one example of successful thing. And that all of you can do it. All of you can do it. This is just a coordinating with the doctor. And just many a time, what happens with people? People forget to take medicines. People feel better. Tuberculosis is another example. People take for TB, people take medicine. Then when they feel better, when the cough goes away, they stop the medicine for two reasons. One is they feel that taking medicine is a bad thing. Second thing, those are sometimes, of course, TB medicine are given free, but still they have to go to a place and get it. So that's a problem for them. If there's a network, if we can set up a network to monitor that, if we can remind people, if we can monitor people, okay, are you taking the medicine regularly? It doesn't involve a lot of time. Only thing, you need to form a group of 10 people, and every person takes turn. Every week you go somewhere and find it out. This is simple work. It's not difficult work. And you don't have to be a scientist to do it. And this is another example, Sabina. So as you can see, Sabina's, look at the improvement over time. In 2 years itself, there have been so much improvement, and she might have improved even better now. So these are interesting. The things can happen all positive way. And I'm giving you an example not from somewhere else. I'm giving you an example right from Assam, and I giving you an example from Orissa. Also, Orissa is a big issue out there with the fluoride problem. Okay. Now, so let's quickly talk about. Let me wind up this presentation quickly. So this is a sustainability issue. So what we are trying to look into this sustainability, I think we are looking at individual households, sustainability of individual household through drinking water, and you can look into other issues. Somebody doesn't want to work in drinking water, work on food, nutrition. Nutrition can be, can you set up a model where people can get nutrition from their homegrown vegetables, homegrown dal and everything? Can they do it? I think that is a very nice model. You need to follow it up. You can start a small, don't pick up a whole district, pick up a small village, create a model and go from there. And there have been examples in Assam, Bihar, and everywhere. There are examples of we achieving sustainability through small effort and getting it bigger. People emulate you, people will copy your things. So then we can achieve community, village, and the whole community can achieve sustainability. That's the model. And this is another example. We have published a paper on this. I think technology many a time is very important, that you don't impose technology on people. You talk to people first what they need. You don't go to people, assume that, oh, these people need drinking water. They may not drink. That's not their priority. Something else may be priority. Try to meet people priority first. Then only it happens. Also, be very sensitive to people's views and opinion. People are sensitive. People have their own, everybody is a person. Everybody is a person. So people have their own, views and opinion. I suppose you need to respect that, I think. So I think, one of the things, I really like, this is what one of my favorite professors in Cotton College, Nabakanta Borwa said, he wrote a poem called Poloch. Out there's one particular 2 sentences I really liked. It says, Daure ki kole, dia aru dia, nikeh kori dia. In English, it means, what did the clouds say? What did the clouds say? Clouds said, give more, give your all. I think that's what should be the attitude of us. If we really want to achieve sustainability, yes, give your all, as much as you can. I think that's how we can achieve sustainability. So this is my group. This is my research group. All my students have, do amazing job. I have students from all over the world, including India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Vietnam, and Guinea, and Saudi Arabia. We have people from quite a number of there from actually Assam as well. So we are a very active group. We do a lot of work in nanotechnology and agriculture area. So if you know good student, we recruit student to work with us. So anyway, so thank you very much. And this is my email address. I'll keep it posted. You can write it down. So if you have specific questions, send me an email. Send me an email. I'll possibly call you because I'm not good in writing emails. Just put your email phone number there so that I can call you. Give me a good time. I can call you. I'll be possibly calling you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Asinta and Bez Barua, for your valuable presentation and discussion. Mostly depends on even applicable in Assam scenario. Now, may I request Anjam Barbuya, perhaps you have some question.
Yeah. It is there in the
Resource
question
person.
also.
Do you
I
have?
have not looked into those chat. So you can go ahead, ask me the question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So may I ask, sir, or you will say? First question is, there are only 7 questions. So
Go ahead.
First question is, if state cannot regulate the load of natural resources by big business houses, is it possible to protect our environment?
See, this is one of the component. So one of the components is industries. But now let me give you a different example before I get into the industry part of it. So we talk about power generation, right? Power generation. And we have opposed hydroelectric power in Assam, right? So I have a different opinion about it. I don't want you to agree with me. I have a different opinion about it. I said, I of course I don't agree with the big dams, but at the same time we need smaller dams, because without power sufficiency, we cannot even talk about anything else. We do not afford to talk about environment. Where do you talk? Where do you work? You don't even have a computer. Computer doesn't run properly. I think the same thing is true. Now, coming back to the industry part of it, I think industries are needed. Definitely some industries are needed, But then, of course, we have this unfortunate incident of Oil India's thing. ONGCs have done messed up. Coal India has messed up in Assam, Bihar, and everywhere. So they really mess up things. I think what is important for us is to find out, the rules and regulation and be active in issues. I think that's important. I don't think you can. Of course, if you can do like Sikkim did, they have gone for organic, agriculture. They have done in a big way. I think unless there is a movement to do this, you will have industries, because if you have resources, you're going to have industries like, coal industry will be there. Question is, how can you make it sustainable? Oil industry will be there, because, that really runs the country. So you cannot really avoid having that. Question is how much safe you can make it. I think that's the important part. So I do not know whether I really answered your question, but thing is, it's a tricky thing to do. But I think most important part is, I think we need to be proactive. We need to point out things. If you simply say something just to make a noise, doesn't help. You need to back up things with scientific data. This is what is happening. You need to have documentation. If you see something, take a photograph. Take a photograph. Take a video. Put it in social media. Those really helps, because the big industries really care about image. Image. But I think overall, you need research. You need to be thorough in what you are talking about. You cannot simply say it is affecting the environment. We have to be thorough in how it is affecting. Most of the time, you will see that industries are not unwilling to invest. They will try to invest less, definitely, but they are willing to invest, provided you give them ways to find out. And we should not worry about it. We should not worry about. There are technologies available to contain the pollution and everything. I think I'm not too much worried about big industries coming up. I think the question is what kind of mentality they bring in. If they are only destruction part, like they're doing in Arunachal Pradesh right now, all forests being cut and everything, I think that's a destruction, right? So I think that's a question of sustainability, and we have to be proactive. We need to develop it. So I think develop the strategy properly.
Yes, sir. We have one next question from Anonymous related to the present scenario. What will be the issues after excessive use of hand sanitizers?
See, I mean, we are not going to continue use going hand sanitizers. So as you know, regular soap is better than hand sanitizers, right? So I use hand sanitizers whenever I go to a store, immediately after that. But I do not use at home. You should not be using at home. Definitely, hand sanitizer should not be used at home because you have soap and everything. So you should not be using it at home. Definitely. So there will be, of course, if you continue using it, there will be bad effects because because they're internalized. They go inside your body, and that's an effect. So definitely, I don't think, as long as we are judicious in using, I don't see a problem. And of course, schools and everything, we should basically, go back to regular soap. That's the best way to do it. Everybody knows about it. If you wash your hands for 20 minutes, do a way they show you, I think that's the perfect way to do it.
Yeah. The next question is similar to this one by Jovajodi Das. I am using salted water to clean fruits and vegetables. Am I okay?
Yeah, salted, actually that is a better way to do it, because your regular regular salt, the sodium chloride, it is chlorine. Okay, it does the job. You can also, a lot of people actually use vinegar. Vinegar can be used to wipe it off. Vinegar is drinkable. You can use a light vinegar. In fact, vinegar can be used, very interesting, vinegar can be used as an weedicide. You can kill a lot of weeds using, if you don't want a particular plant, you can use actually vinegar to kill it. Vinegar can be used. Soda can be used. So vinegar is another way of, another good example that you can use as a disinfectant. And and also you can use citric acid, those kinds of stuff can be very well as well to clean up stuff.
Okay, sir. The next question from Dr. Sindarani, one of our colleague from chemistry department, and so she's asking question from chemical chemistry. What is the mechanism of water atomization? What is the nano range of water in electrospray process?
Oh, so what they do, so in this process, so typically when you have you have a spray at home, right? You have spray at home. So you have this, atomizer. You use some room freshener. Those are actually atomizer. They atomize it. Their particle size is not too fine. So now what we do when we say nano means less than 100 nanometer. 100 nanometer is nano. Less than 100 nanometer is nano. So that will be 0.1 micron, 0.1 micron size. So anything smaller than that is nano. So now what they're doing, what happens with the nanoparticle, if you make it nano, your surface area increases. So surface area increases, then you can put more charges in less amount of water. I think that's what they're doing in the. Did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sharma sir, shall I ask a few more questions? We have, if time permits.
Just another one.
Sure. Or you can ask a few questions. I can be here for a minute as long as there are good questions. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So most after midnight, it's almost.
No, that's okay. That's fine. That's okay. That's okay.
Next question from
I
Dr.
planned that way. I planned that way. That's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Next question from Dr. S. Sanjeevi Prasad. Sir, could you give some light on how Canada reacted to pandemic with some special reference?
Okay, I do not know. I know Canada did a better job than us. Canada did better than us. More. I think the key for whole problem is whole situation is the wearing a mask. So I think that is the key. That's the key, because you do not transmit the disease. Because there are research came out from Australia. They have shown when you talk, you atomize your spit, and it actually goes up to 3 feet. So that is what exactly they have found out. Actually, there are research that has come out. So if you Google it, in fact, I mean, Australian research about radius of spitting, So I think I do not know exactly how they managed it, but one of the things I know, Canadians are typically more conscious and law-abiding than United States people. United States, we are crazy about freedom of everything, even at the cost of others. That is crazy to me. I honestly don't know about detail about their process. I'm sorry.
So one more question from Dr. Ashish Shah. Yes, sir, is there any quick identification system for arsenic contamination at home?
No, that is one of the challenges. That's one of the challenges for arsenic. In fact, we are working with this Saha Institute in Calcutta. What we are trying to develop some tools such that we can rapidly analyze arsenic. There are strips. You get strips like a pH strips and all. You get strips to measure arsenic, but those are not very accurate. So what we are trying to develop is I do not work a lot with sensors because I used to work. I did my PhD work with sensors, but I no longer work with sensors. But what we are trying to develop, like that in your water treatment system, if it is done, the red light comes up, right? If it is used up system, red light comes up. You need a service. I think we're trying to develop a system like that, such that it continuously measures it, and whenever it exceeds. Yeah. Unfortunately, there is no quick measurement technique for arsenic. But other good thing is on the positive side, arsenic will not fluctuate too much. Arsenic will not fluctuate too much over time. It will remain steady typically, very, very steady.
The last question asked by a few participants from in the chat box also.
Dr. Barbhuya,
Yes, sir.
can we conclude here?
No, fine. Let's go. Let's ask two more questions.
Last question asked by few participants. No, not one.
Sure.
Sir, what is your stand on EIA 2020 draft of Government of India, or simply EIA? If you put a light on EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment.
So this is a specific EIA.
Yeah, it's a
Environment
specific
Impact Assessment Law.
Oh, no, I have not followed it. I'm sorry, I do not know about it. So.
Okay, sir. Then we can conclude the question answer session here. Over to Sharma, sir.
Thank you, Vesburua, for giving the quick response to a number of queries from our participant side. Now we are going to wind up the program, and in the last, and not least, but may I request our principal, Dr. Subhas Barman, to give his closing remarks about the webinar and this presentation and all these things. Over to principal.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. So this webinar, this presentation of Professor Asinta Vesburua it has been such wonderful. I'm sure all participants are benefited by his presentation. And whatever I realized, we college universities or even science, engineering, if it works for upliftment of the society around us, then it is more meaningful, then it becomes meaningful. And whatever I realized with Dr. Vesburua's work, Professor Vesburua, he has been very sincerely working for humanity. This is very important. We may do a lot of things. We may do space research. We may do a lot of, all those things are very important. But Dr. Vesburua, he has been working on issues that concern people's life and people who are living at the bottom and who have been, you can say in democracy, they are marginalized citizens, they are weaker citizens who are not having, access to power, and even so they are not economically in a position to afford it. So if college, universities, and if scientists and engineers, if they work for such thing, because see, for corporates, for big business, people will come forward because you are getting money and those things. But at the end of the day, if we work, the whole, even Einstein and whatever we know, you all know that it is a great human goal. If you go through the civilizational story, then it is all about helping each other. Even Dr. Bhupen Hazarika is also, his songs are also in that line. So Dr. Besbarua, whatever I realized, and I sincerely expect, I sincerely hope we have to work with you. If you come to India, please visit our college, or you give advice and guidance to our, we have chemistry department, we have zoology, botany, and all those departments. So if we can contribute somehow in identifying fluorosis in water, or society around us in Goalpara or in Western Assam, then I think that the college endeavor will be meaningful. Because at the end of the day, as a principal or as a person with conscience, I feel that who do something which is relevant to the society and contribute towards their life. And these are marginalized people. These are quite weak people. So I need your advice and guidance for for testing, or whatever we can do within our limited resources. We have resources also, not that we don't have crores of rupees, but we can also spend few lakhs rupees for these things. So, and if we can contribute towards that, even our those NEC or University Grants Commission, Government of India, or the society, the larger society will be quite happy that this college is doing something meaningful for the people. So really, in this COVID-19, we have been organizing good numbers of webinars. Even people from different parts of the world and India, good famous professors, they have been delivering lectures. But today's presentation is, I think it's quite relevant too. Quite relevant. It is highly relevant, and I am sure all participants, they have been, inspired by your presentation, and they feel that yes, we should do something. So with these few words, I once again express my gratitude to Dr. Osinto Besbarua. Professor Besbarua, though you are staying other parts of the world, but you are contributing towards your own country, and along with the larger humanity, you are concerned with Assam and India. You are a patriotic person. So this is my sincere gratitude to you. And I am sure all participants are benefited by this webinar, by this lecture. Thank you.
Last not but least, again, I have to invite another person. But before that, I want to say something about the Osinto Besbarua. He is very closely connected with Goalpara, and we have had a chance to work with him even for the downtrodden people of the small village of Medikona in Goalpara district, just a year back. And the process is going on. And perhaps in future, the project will go ahead. And his meeting with me that began, that as he mentioned, from the Deepor Bill, conservation of water resources in Deepor Bill, when he was perhaps graduated from Assam Engineering College. Now, may I request Professor Hasna Begum Barbhuiya, coordinator of the seminar, to offer vote of thanks. Hasna Begum Barbhuiya.
Yes, sir. So we are coming to the last part of this webinar. So it is the vote of thanks. I, on behalf of Geography Department, Goalpara College, Goalpara, offer our heartfelt thanks to Professor Osinto Naran Besbarua for delivering a very interesting presentation today and gracing us today. I also thank the principal, Dr. Subhas Burman sir, Goalpara College, for helping us to organize the webinar. On behalf of Geography Department, Goalpara College, I offer my sincere gratitude to all the participants from different colleges and the universities of the Assam and across India, and my dear students for their presentation. I, on behalf of Geography Department, Goalpara College, offer my sincere gratitude to President, Governing Body, Dr. Binay Kumar Nath sir, for his constant support. My sincere thanks to Dr. Siddhinath Sharma for his relentless effort towards organizing and conducting the webinar. I also thank Dr. Anjam for his continuous support in the technical part. Finally, I thank all the faculty members once again across Assam and India, and the students without whose participations the webinar would not have been fructious. Thank you everybody for joining in today. I hope you had a good time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's a grand success.
Yes, sir. I think we have to make an announcement regarding feedback, sir. Will you or I?
Feedback later on, Anjam, you send the feedback.
Yeah. So for all the participants, we will mail.
Anjam.
Yes. Sir.
Anjam.
Yes.
Professor Besborua wants to speak something.
Okay.
No. You're please unmute.
Sir, you have to unmute, sir.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that, if I know I tried to respond to a lot of the questions people had, but anybody, I might not have answered all the questions because I was not paying attention to the chat box and questions because while I was speaking. You are more than welcome to send me an email. As I said, when you send an email, include your phone number. I'll be more than happy to call you back. And also, as Dr. Principal Berman said, if you really want to start some research work, I'll be more than happy to help. But I think we need a serious effort. Sometimes, we start with enthusiasm, but then it trickles out. So I think because, everybody's time is important, I'll be more than happy to help. We have been doing that. We actually set up Akhilendra Gupta and we are coordinating an effort in India for arsenic and fluoride network. We are calling it arsenic and fluoride network for technology transfer and clearinghouse. It is a consortium we are creating. So we have been working on that one. So I think there are a lot of people who are willing to help all over India, and there are people we can bring in, not only in Assam, everywhere in the country. So we can possibly help. There are a lot of people who are willing to help, very experienced people within India itself. So I think that is we should use, and we should definitely do some research. Some work should be started. We can do a lot of research. You don't need a lot of sophisticated instrumentation to do research. Only thing you need a motivation, as I say, you need a motivation to do it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
মই কিবা এটা ক'ব বিচাৰিছিলো।
Sure.
বেজবৰুৱা ছাৰ, আপুনি মোক ফাৰ্ষ্ট পুল হিচাপে মোক কি কুৱেশ্যন সুধিছিলে মই আচলতে ইমান মন কৰা নাছিলো। মই মানে কিবা নিজৰ ইন্ট্ৰডাকচন হে দিয়াৰ নিচিনা হ'ল। তাৰ কাৰণে মানে মই অলপ ডিস্টাৰ্ব ফিল কৰি আছো মানে ছাৰ।
একো নাই মই গম পাইছো আপুনি কুৱেশ্যনটো ভুলকে বুজিলে। একো নাই, নো প্ৰবলেম।
মই মানে বেয়া লাগিছে গোটেই সময়খিনি মোৰ। তথাপি ছাৰ মোক প্লিজ এনে কুৱেশ্যনটো আপুনি এবাৰ দিব ছাৰ। ইমান এজন ডাঙৰ মানে এজন মানুহৰ আগত মানে কিয় নাজানো আৰু মই অলপ নাৰ্ভাছ মানে ফিল কৰিছিলো নেকি, কুৱেশ্যনটো শুনা নাছিলো। গতিকে কিবা সেলফ ইন্ট্ৰডাকচন দিয়াৰ নিচিনা হ'ল।
একো নাই, নো প্ৰবলেম at all.
বেজবৰুৱা, আপুনি এই আমেৰিকাত এনেকুৱা ঠাইত আছে য'ত ফ্লাড হয়, আপুনি আমেৰিকাত এনেকুৱা ঠাইত আছে য'ত আপুনি বেকৱাৰ্ড কিটচেন গাৰ্ডেন আপুনি ডেভেলপ কৰিছে। গতিকে এই ফ্লাড হোৱাৰ কথাটো লৈ আৰু কিটচেন গাৰ্ডেনৰ কথাটো লৈ কিবা এটা মেছেজ দিব নেকি আপুনি?
মই ফ্লাডৰ ওপৰত কাম নকৰো, অলপো কাম নকৰো মই ফ্লাডৰ ওপৰত।
কৰিব নালাগে, আপুনি তাতো ফ্লাড পাইছে, কাজিৰঙাটো পাইছে।
ফ্লাডত বেসিক্যালি আমাৰ ফ্লাডত বিশেষকৈ অৰূপ শৰ্মা, IIT গুৱাহাটী অৰূপ শৰ্মা আছে। অৰূপ শৰ্মা is a very good expert in floods, so he is the right person to talk. So kitchen garden আমি কৰো, we just do it out of our interest, just because অন্য কাম কৰিবল নাই, just out of our interest.
আমাক শিকাইছে, কিন্তু আমি ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্ট হ'বলৈ শিকাইছে। আমি সবেই
I do organic one, so organic cultivation. মই artificial fertilizer বা insecticide pesticide use নকৰো, so it's organic fertilizer.
Professor Besborua, খুব কুইক স্মল কথা এটা সৰু হৈ গৈছো। আমাৰ এই আপুনি যেটো ফ্লোৰোসিছৰ টেষ্টিংৰ গটে কথাটো, এটা ফান্ডিং টান্ডিংৰ কিবা ৰাস্তা আছে নেকি কমকে মানে হেৰি কৰা কিবা?
So this is the thing. So I think India funding to একো প্ৰবলেমে নহয় ইন্ডিয়াত। পইচা যথেষ্ট আছে। The only thing আমাৰ মেন পাৱাৰটো নাই, মানুহৰ কাম কৰিবৰ গোটটো নাই আমাৰ। যদি আমি ভাল গোট কৰিব পাৰে, আপোনালোকে এখন জেগা আইডেন্টিফাই কৰিব পাৰে, I think it's very easy to do it. Very easy to do.
আমি এটা খুব সিরিয়াসলি লৈছো কথাটো।
ঠিক আছে, আপোনালোকে নেক্সট এদিন লগ পাওঁ আকৌ এদিন, আপোনালোকে ইতিমধ্যে কথা পাতক, কথা পাতি then we can, because we already আমি সেই যেটো ফ্লোৰাইড এণ্ড আৰ্ছেনিক নেটৱৰ্ক কৰি আছো, আৰু আপোনাৰ IIT আপোনাৰ হেৰিত আছে, RRLত ৰবিন গোস্বামী আছে, ৰবিন গোস্বামী নহয়, sorry, Rajiv Goswami. He's very renowned also. He has been doing a lot of work. আৰু ডাউনটাউন ইউনিভাৰ্চিটিত সুনন্দন বৰুৱা আছে. They are doing very good job. A lot of people, Assam also and outside, like I said, Okhilendra Gupta and others in NIT Jaipur. So বহুত মানুহে কাম কৰিছে, কিন্তু আপোনালোকে যদি এখন গাঁও আইডেন্টিফাই কৰিব পাৰে, that will be great. So we can definitely work. কাৰণ মই শৰ্মাৰ লগত কাম আৰম্ভ কৰিছিলো আমি, কিন্তু এই কামটো হৈ উঠা নাই এতিয়ালৈকে, গতিকে আমি কম হয় না শৰ্মা খেনন কথা পাতিছো, আকৌ কমপ্লিট কৰিব লাগে কামটো আমি।
এটা বিগ প্ৰজেক্ট আমি নিশ্চয় ল'ম, আপুনি দিব আমাৰ।
Sure.
ঠিক আছে, হ'ব।
ঠিক আছে।
Thank you, sir.
ঠিক আছে।
Thank you
ঠিক
very
আছে
much.
দিয়ক।
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Bye.